It is week 6 of the college football season. We are back with our 10 best picks this weekend. I'm Austin, joined by Logan. This is Calling Our Shot, and we're going to give you each our 5 favorite picks this weekend, followed up with our best bet of the weekend. And let's recap last week, because it was a pretty good week. Logan and I both combined 7-2. Our only loss was Iowa State. We both were on them, and they couldn't get it done as they missed 3 field goals. But either way, a great week. And even the fans had a 3-2 week. As always, we track the fans' vote. You go down below, drop your favorite pick, and if you see a pick that you really like, click that like button. The top 5 most liked comments down below will track towards the fans' record. But without further ado, Logan, how are you doing before we hop into this?
I'm really excited for this week. I'm really excited to continue the winning ways that we had last week. I cashed my best bet, and I'm really excited to make some money for the people this week.
That's what we hope to do. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button too. It helps grow the channel. Let's hop into my favorite pick, or one of my favorites. Not my best bet this weekend, but I'm going to go with UCLA plus 4.5. They're currently minus 110 on DraftKings, taking on Utah Utes. Now, last week, UCLA, an undefeated team, kind of woke up people. They went out and they beat the 15th ranked Washington Huskies, a team that everyone really liked. And they came out there, beat them 40-32. And that final score was a little bit more closer than the game actually indicated. And Utah has turned it around since that week 1 loss to your Florida Gators, Logan. But similar to that game, they're going to be on the road taking it on a very elite dual threat quarterback. You saw what Anthony Richardson did in week 1 against this Utah defense, which is very good. Majorian Thompson Robinson is an elite quarterback, and he's been absolutely killing people this season. DTR, as I like to just abbreviate his name because I don't want to say the whole thing, they lost to the Utes in his freshman year. He didn't play in the next couple matchups, but the Bruins have lost 5 straight games versus the Utah Utes. I think that streak ends on Saturday. UCLA has allowed the 13th fewest rushing yards this season. And look, if they can win the trenches, I think they got a good chance of taking down this Utah team. Now, while I'm not taking the money line, I think the UCLA Bruins at home, I know Cam Rising and Utah are a pretty good ball club, but I like Chip Kelly and the Bruins to get it done. That's my first pick of the week. Logan, what you got?
Well, Utah treated us really nice last week. So this is a really spicy take, Austin, but I do like it. Now, my first pick in this one, I'm going to an SEC showdown, and I'm taking Arkansas plus 9.5 versus Mississippi State. I just think at the end of the day, this is too many points to pass up on, for Arkansas. Look, these SEC games are usually a little bit closer than anybody wants to remember, right? Arkansas offense will chew the clock and win the time of possession. 9th in rushing yards is the key to success for this Arkansas offense. And I think they're well equipped to do it. Now, Mississippi State's defense, 124th in rushing yards allowed. I expect big things from KJ Jefferson and Raheem Sanders. The blueprint is there, right? Just run the ball, keep moving the chains, chew the clock, and we'll be really good and in a solid position to cover this one. Now, Arkansas's defense, will have their hands full against Will Rogers, right? We know how impressive this Mississippi State offense is, allowing 289 passing yards per game. I think that is a little bit misleading and a little bit inflated, though, because this Arkansas defense did just get carved up by Alabama. But who doesn't, right? They give up 49 points to Alabama. Everybody looks bad against Alabama. But if Arkansas's defense will, if they do limit Mississippi State's drives to field goals rather than touchdowns, everybody's on the over 62 points in this one. I think this one's going to be a little bit lower scoring. And I'm telling you, if in the red zone, Mississippi State isn't as efficient as they always are been, Arkansas will cover this 9.5.
Logan, I got a question for you. Is there room for 2 on the Arkansas Razorbacks wagon?
Absolutely.
All right. So as my second pick, I'm actually going to be squad riding with Logan because I really do like the Razorbacks. Now, if there is a line that's going to change from when we post this video, which is on Tuesdays to Saturdays, this could be the one because kind of Logan and I have tracked this. It's gone from 6.5 to 7.5, then to 8.5, and now 9.5. I imagine it does come down as the game gets closer, but either way, we'll take it probably at 7.5 is the lowest. I probably want that touchdown to give us that push or at least that winner. But like Logan was saying, Mississippi State has a recipe for success. It's got to run the ball. And I think you look at this Mississippi State team, they have 2 more road games coming up. This is their final home game, at least for their 2 road games against Kentucky and Alabama, 2 elite teams, and Arkansas, team that's lost 2 in a row. This is kind of that must-win game. And while we're not projecting them to come out here and upset Mississippi State, who did treat me nicely last week, I think Arkansas plus 9.5 is just a lot of points for Mississippi State team that could lay down right here. We've seen the rushing attack from Arkansas. If the Arkansas Razorbacks can get up in this game, I think if they got a good chance at not only covering this, but having a chance to win this game outright. 9.5 is a lot of points in an SEC ball club or SEC game with 2 elite teams. So, Logan, I really like that we're both on the Razorbacks here. I think they got a good chance of getting it done. And I really do hope they treat us both nicely. We can go 2-0 on that game. But what's your second pick of the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to a team that you were very familiar with last week. How about the Purple Pirates? It's a Pirates life for me this week. I'm taking ECU plus 2.5 versus Tulane. Now look, if you want to ride the wave literally and figuratively, Tulane's been a trendy pick this year. They're coming off a win versus Houston. But I see a letdown spot kind of in this one. Now, ECU's offense tied for 13th in third down conversion percentage at 50%. I'm going to talk about third down percentage a lot in these because there's nothing more important in college football than sustained drives. And ECU's offense has been showing that, right? ECU's offense also balanced. And I do like that in college football. I hate teams that rely too much on the run or the pass. ECU balanced attack 38th in passing yards, 43rd in rushing yards so far in the season. So they can have multiple pathways to put up points on Tulane. ECU also 40th in opponent third down conversion percentage. We remember how impressive this ECU defense looked at times versus NC State. That game, ECU for all intents and purposes should have probably won that game if the kicker actually showed up. But they really did play NC State tough. That one really sticks in my head when I'm thinking about this matchup. Also, though, if you look at Tulane's offense, 108th in third down conversion percentage at only 31.25%. That's with inflated opponents like UMass and Alcorn, right? Their only real test offensively or against a good defense was against Kansas State. So I think really the Purple Pirates are a sneaky one in this one. I know everyone's probably going to be on Tulane in this one, but my Pirates are going to say not so fast.
Yeah, hopefully the Pirates get it done for you, and hopefully they bring home a big pile of treasure. And speaking of treasure, people have been tailing my best bet of the year. Yeah, no, they're not, and they're not bringing any treasure home because I've been struggling in the best bet of the week, and that's what we're kind of segueing into. I can't cash one to save my life. 0-4-1. If I could just throw this segment out the window, my record would be great. And since I've been in the red pretty much all season long in this best bet, it's only right that I go to the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. And I'm taking them plus 10 as my best bet of the weekend. Now, before you come out here and say, Austin, this is an idiotic pick, you probably, if you were to fade one of my picks, this might be the one. But I like the Red Raiders this week, and I think they're going to shock the world. And I think they have a chance. Just hear me out. A chance to upset this Oklahoma Cowboys team, a top 10 ranked program. Now, Donovan Smith and the Red Raiders, they're a pretty decent team. I mean, they have played well in Stillwater. The last two matchups, they lost by 6 in 2020 and then won by 24 in 2018. So they've kind of had Texas Tech or Oklahoma State's number in their own stadium. And this is the easiest game the Cowboys have on their schedule over the next 4 weeks. There's really not, I mean, you look at their schedule, they got a lot of tough games versus TCU, Kansas State. They got even Kansas, who's really looked really good as of early on this season. And the Cowboys, their defense is not as good as it was last year. I mean, they've allowed 285 passing yards per game, which is 233rd in the NCAA. Texas Tech averaging 362 passing yards per game, the 7th most. Everyone's going to be on Oklahoma State. And this is a team that's, like I said, top 10 program. And they haven't had that week where they're like, oh, this team's struggling. You remember Alabama, they had that against Texas. You think about Georgia, one of the best teams. They struggled against Missouri. Ohio State struggled in week 1 versus Notre Dame. All of those elite teams have struggled. Could this be the week that we see Oklahoma struggle? It's an at-home game. No one's expecting them to lose. They're going to be in everyone's money line parlay. Could we see the Red Raiders come in here and play a little bit of a spoiler? I think they certainly could get it done. And look, I'm taking a shot on plus 10 points. I think this game's closer than that. Hopefully it's only a touchdown that kind of separates these two teams, maybe even less. So give me the Red Raiders plus 10 as my best bet of the weekend. Logan, what's your best bet?
Yeah, I do like the call, though. I mean, Big 12 games.
I'm calling my shot.
Yep, he's calling his shot. Big 12 game, anything can happen. Now I'm going in for my best bet of the weekend. I'm going back to the SEC showdown, and I'm taking LSU plus 2.5 versus Tennessee. Look, normally I hate backing Brian Kelly to do anything except lose, but this line to me is just screaming, bet Tennessee, bet Tennessee. And we all know how college football works, especially in the SEC. You don't want to take the sucker bet. And I think Tennessee is the sucker bet in this one. Look, Tennessee's offense has been humming this year. 5th in scoring, 2nd in passing yards, 10th in yards per play. So this is statistically like a top 5 offense. And we know, the Tennessee offense up-tempo with Hooker at quarterback. Can LSU stop that, though, is going to be obviously the question. They're going to do a lot of preparation to stop Hooker, and I think they're equipped to do it. They're 9th in passing yards allowed and 16th in scoring defense. So I really do think LSU's defense can present problems for Hooker and that Tennessee offense. Over the last 3 games, LSU's defense, 8th best in opponents' third down conversion percentage. I mean, that's really solid considering that they're in the top 10 in opponents' third down conversion percentage. That's a mouthful. But I really do think if they can get Hendon Hooker off the field and make life difficult for him, we're going to stand a really good chance at cashing this best bet again. Also, if you look at Tennessee's defense, look, remember his days at UCF, Heupel. They don't practice defense a lot, right? Tennessee's defense, 128th in passing yards allowed. LSU's offense doesn't have to be great to move the ball on them, right? LSU's offense, though, statistically fine, right? 26th in scoring offense and 30th in passing yards. That's good enough for me to back LSU in this one. Look, one of the toughest places to play in college football is Death Valley. I think Tennessee's going to go in there and get a reminder of what SEC play is like. I think Heupel and Tennessee have a really good shot to probably lose this game outright. But for safety, I will take LSU plus 2.5.
Look, you didn't have to remind me about the UCF defense days. I love Heupel. My friends, you included, like to say I look like Heupel in maybe 20 years. But look, I appreciate it. I hope the Tennessee Volunteers lay an egg for you on the road. Like you said, Josh Heupel, he did struggle on the road with UCF. Now, my fourth pick of the weekend, we're transitioning away and got our final two picks. I'm actually going to go the only favorite on my card, and that's going to be Maryland Terrapins. I'm taking the -3 versus the Purdue Boilermakers. So this goes up to 3.5. Look, sign me up. I'll take it at any line. You get it. Now, look, last week I heavily considered the Boilermakers. Purdue on the other side as they pulled off an upset versus Minnesota and the Golden Gophers. I thought they had a good chance to win that game and at least cover the 10 points they were getting, and they did. They got their win on the road, and now they go back on the road versus Maryland. And I like this Terrapins offense a ton. They're led by Talia Tagovailoa, the brother of Tua Tagovailoa. And look, they're 29th in passing yards per game, 30th in total yards, and the Terrapins been a good home team, 3-0 at home. And look, I expect them to be 4-0 after Saturday. It's a big letdown spot for Purdue after a big win against the, I think 11th ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers at the time. Aiden O'Connell, love the last name, love him. But I think Purdue's in a big letdown spot. O'Connell didn't look good last week, 2 interceptions after, missing the week against FAU the week prior. He's still a little bit banged up. I don't trust them all too much. So I like Maryland -3. Think they get it done. Hopefully they win by more than the touchdown. They can make that a no sweat winner for me. But Logan, what's your fourth pick?
Yeah, I'm going to an ACC game for my fourth pick, and I'm taking Georgia Tech +3 against Duke. Now, if you're looking at this one, yeah, this one might not be the sexiest pick or the sexiest matchup, but look, this is how you make money in college football. You have to give Duke their credit, right? If you're just simply looking at record, 4-1 straight up this year, Georgia Tech by comparison 2-3. So Duke does look like the better, team on paper, but look at Georgia Tech. They've played a gauntlet of a schedule. They played Ole Miss, Pitt, UCF, Clemson, and they beat Pitt. Like that's a really good momentum win for Georgia Tech, and I think they will carry that over, right? If you look at again these two teams on paper, it looks like a big mismatch in favor of Duke. But look, last week Georgia Tech had 102 passing yards. And if you look at that box score, you're like, oh, surely they just got killed by Pitt. Nope, they still won that game, and they won it on the ground, which is very important in college football to establish the run game and have control, not needing to rely so much on the pass. That's what Georgia Tech's been doing. If you look at their quarterback, Sims, he's dual threat. Last week, 81 yards on the ground. Hall, their running back, 157 yards on 20 carries. I expect them to do the same versus Duke, and I know if there's anything from watching that Duke defense against Kansas a couple weeks ago, they really don't present a whole lot of problems, defensively, especially up front. Georgia Tech's offense, 127th in scoring. Duke's offense, 53rd in scoring. That's where I'm saying, this line should be probably bigger if the books were very convinced that Georgia Tech was going to get blown out in this one. I don't think they'd only make Duke -3. Duke's offense, if you look at them, they haven't been really, all that great, especially on third down, right? Duke's third down efficiency bad, 32% conversion. That's 102nd in the FBS. Georgia Tech's defense, 47th in opponent third down conversion percentage. So they've been in the top, pretty much third in the FBS at stopping the opponents on third down. I think they're going to get this one done for us. Only +3. Yeah, I'll give me some Yellow Jackets.
And something to really note is that last week was the first game Georgia Tech had under their new head coach. I think they fired the head coach and let go of their athletic director. So they obviously something changed in the locker room, and they're kind of maybe they get on a winning streak here. So I like the pick. Now, as for my final pick, my fifth and final pick, I'm going to stay in the same conference. So I'll be taking the Florida State Seminoles +3.5 as they take on the NC State Wolfpack. Now, originally you look at this line, you're like, what in the heck is this line? Why is it like this? And for all my Seminoles fans out there, including my sister, I'm backing you guys. Now, the Noles coming off a 10-point loss to Wake Forest at home, and they were laying, I think, 6.5 in that game, lose outright, and now they're laying only 3.5 on the roll. They're getting 3.5 points on the road versus the top 15 ranked NC State team, also coming off a 10-point loss to Clemson. Now, last week, a lot of you, I don't love backing Florida State here, but They didn't have a good week last week. They gave up 28 unanswered points between the second and then the third quarter, but they still had a chance at the end of the game. They couldn't get a stop on defense, and that was ended up being all she wrote. But Wake Forest is still a decent team with Sam Hartman, and I just look at this offense from the Florida State Seminoles. It's been the best one they've had probably in the last 5 to 8 years. I mean, they're 28th in total yards, and ultimately, I think their offense, I can trust them a lot more than Devin Leary and the Wolfpack's offense. I backed the Wolfpack when they took on UConn. They were 40-point favorites. They didn't get close to covering that. NC State, like I said, lost by 10 to Clemson. Going to be a big letdown. I mean, they're like, oh man, we wanted to beat Clemson. They obviously couldn't get it done. I know they're back at home. Their defense is good, but I don't think that's enough. I think this is a 3-point or less game, or maybe even Florida State potentially sneaks out the win outright. So, Logan, I know it's your rival, but can you root for the Florida State Seminoles plus 3.5 for me this weekend?
I can get behind the big for sure. In the ACC, anything can happen, especially in those lower spread type games. So I do like the pick. Now, Austin,
yeah, I already got a big time game. You're going to the biggest game on the slate, right?
For my pick, I need you to hang on and buckle in, right? The last few weeks, if you've been watching my picks, on my last pick, I like to go dumpster diving. 2 weeks ago, I went New Mexico State. Last week, I went Nebraska. Got a lot of hate for the Nebraska pick.
Yes, you did.
But I'm going dumpster diving once again. I'm going to Colorado State versus Nevada. I'm taking Colorado State plus 3.5 in this one. Now, look, guys, this is as pure as a line reading is, and it's pretty much a sharp play in my opinion. Look, you got an 0-4 against the spread and straight up. Colorado State team only getting 3.5. That gets my attention right there. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? The last game they played, Colorado State only got 4.5, and they lost 41-10 to Sacramento State at Colorado State. So they was at home, and they just got absolutely embarrassed. Now, Austin, I'm not good at math, but I don't think they covered the 4.5. Losing by 31 in that one. So you look at this, and you're like, why are the odds makers only giving them 3.5? Right? They and Nevada both get an extra week to prepare, and clearly the books see something changing for Colorado State. Maybe this is just a come-to-Jesus moment in the locker room, and they're like, guys, we got to turn this around. We got to go play some inspired football. You look at their offense on paper, it really can't get worse. 128th in scoring offense, but equally as bad is Nevada's defense, 129th in scoring defense. So look, whatever sort of game plan and whatever sort of offensive packages they're installing in their extra week, hopefully they're able to exploit that Nevada defense that really hasn't presented problems to anyone they've played. Now, one thing to watch for in this game, Clay Millen, and quarterback for Colorado State, he's questionable, but he's the much better option. I really hope he plays. The line seems like he's likely to play, and I hope with that extra week off that he can definitely play in this one. I don't think they're giving Colorado State only 3.5 if he doesn't play, because look, the backup came in there and absolutely stunk up the joint. So I'm taking Colorado State plus 3.5. Dumpster diving a little bit, but there's still money to be made in these smaller games.
Yeah, and hopefully that is a Friday night game at 10:30 kickoff. So hopefully you're getting some coin in your pocket, right? And then you wake up Saturday, watch some college game day, and place some more bets. Hopefully they cash for you. I'm rooting for your Colorado State Rams. It seems we're fading the Wolfpack, the Nevada Wolfpack and NC State Wolfpack for our 5th and final picks. But that's going to wrap it up. Those are our 10 favorite picks for this weekend in college football for week 6. We appreciate you guys. Drop your favorite comments down below with your favorite picks. Drop a like on the ones that you like. And Austin, Logan, we're signing out. See you guys back again, same time, same place, Tuesday at 12 p.m. noon. You'll see our picks for next week. We'll see you guys then. Peace.